One December afternoon, our school was abuzz with excitement for the highly anticipated Christmas decorating event. The atmosphere was charged with joy as we gathered at a nearby stadium, determined to transform it into a magical winter wonderland. Laughter and the sound of students working together filled the air, creating a sense of anticipation for the enchanting evening ahead. As the day progressed, a chill crept into the air, foreshadowing the unexpected turn of events. It was as if the weather itself sensed the growing unease that had settled upon us. Undaunted by the dropping temperature, we continued our efforts, driven by the determination to create a truly unforgettable event for everyone. As darkness descended upon the stadium, eerie shadows cast themselves upon the snow-covered ground. The biting cold seeped into our bones, and the swirling snowflakes whispered secrets in the wind. Despite the growing chill, we carried on with our decorations, fueled by the desire to bring warmth and wonder to the winter night. By the time evening arrived, the transformation of the stadium was nearly complete. The air crackled with excitement and a sense of accomplishment. The twinkling lights and shimmering decorations created a breathtaking sight, transporting us into a world of enchantment. However, as the last rays of daylight faded, a snowstorm unexpectedly roared to life. Snowflakes cascaded from the darkened sky, blurring our surroundings and muffling the sounds of our laughter and chatter. The snowstorm seemed to mirror the growing unease that had settled over us, intensifying the eerie atmosphere that enveloped the stadium. Undeterred by the tempestuous weather, we pressed on, determined to see our hard work come to fruition. The gusts of wind howled through the stadium, creating an unearthly symphony. The biting cold penetrated our clothing, seeping into our skin and sending shivers down our spines. Despite the mounting discomfort, we clung to the excitement of the evening, hopeful that the storm would soon pass. As we wrapped up our tasks, we couldn't help but notice the overwhelming silence that had descended upon the stadium. The usual sounds of laughter and conversation had been swallowed by the tempest, leaving behind an eerie stillness. The snowflakes, now heavy and dense, created a dense curtain, obscuring our view of the surroundings. The storm's intensity grew, and the darkness deepened. With each passing moment, the stadium transformed into a realm of shadows, where the familiar became unfamiliar, and every movement was shrouded in uncertainty. We hurriedly gathered our belongings and made our way toward the school buses parked nearby, seeking solace from the biting cold and the increasing sense of unease that had settled upon us. As we stepped onto the bus, a wave of relief washed over us. The warmth inside provided respite from the freezing cold that had penetrated our very souls. We settled into our seats, counting heads to ensure everyone was accounted for. However, a knot tightened in our stomachs as we realized that someone was missing. Panic rushed through our bodies as we desperately scoured every nook and cranny of the bus, hoping our friend was just lost in the storm's chaos. However, our search turned up nothing. The fact that one of our classmates was missing weighed heavily on our minds. Outside, the snowstorm raged, and the wind wailed like a tormented ghost, heightening our anxiety and deepening our sense of isolation. We alerted our teacher, who sprang into action, contacting the school authorities and mobilizing a search party. Meanwhile, the rest of us sat on the bus, our breath misting in the cold air, our thoughts consumed by worry for our missing classmate. The seconds ticked by with excruciating slowness, each passing moment intensifying the sense of dread that hung in the air. Suddenly, the bus driver's voice broke through the heavy silence. Their eyes widened as they caught sight of a figure in the distance, trudging through the relentless snow. A glimmer of hope flickered in our hearts as we imagined our friend bravely making their way back to us. The driver, their voice tinged with concern, decided to investigate, convinced that it was our missing classmate battling the storm. As the bus approached the figure, a hushed silence fell upon us. Eyes widened, hearts pounded, and breaths caught in our throats. The headlights of the bus illuminated the figure, and terror seized our very souls. It was no ordinary person walking through the snow. The driver's horrified gasp echoed through the bus as they beheld a sight that defied all logic and reason. The figure had no face. Not a single feature adorned its smooth, featureless visage. Panic consumed us as the driver slammed their foot on the accelerator, propelling the bus forward in a surge of adrenaline-fueled urgency. The sudden acceleration sent students flying off their seats, the bus trembling with the force of the escape. Fear and disbelief coursed through our veins, mingling with the cold dread that had settled in our bones. As we hurtled away from the figure, its presence fading into the swirling snowflakes, we exchanged terrified glances. What had we just witnessed? Who or what was that faceless apparition haunting the stormy night? Questions tumbled through our minds, but there were no answers, only an unsettling, lingering fear that clung to us like a specter. It wasn't until we arrived at the school grounds, safe but shaken, that the bus driver revealed what they had witnessed. Their voice quivered with a mixture of terror and disbelief as they recounted the encounter. The truth of the faceless figure had been etched into their memory, leaving an indelible mark of horror. As for our missing classmate, we learned that she had taken a ride on a different school bus and arrived safely at the school. Relief washed over us, but the memory of that fateful winter event still sends shivers down our spines. It serves as a stark reminder that even in the most joyous of moments, darkness can seep in, leaving us with unsettling questions and an eerie sense of the unknown. The faceless figure's presence lingers, a chilling testament to the inexplicable forces that can lurk within the snow-laden depths of a winter's night. It was my senior year in college, and my family had planned a special winter getaway in Aspen, Colorado. We were determined to make the most of our time together, cherishing the moments before I entered the corporate world and started applying for jobs. Our visit coincided with a magical snowfall, which blanketed the town in a pristine white cover. One evening, as we walked through the quaint streets of Aspen, we stumbled upon an intriguing opportunity. A family friend who owned a beautifully crafted horse-drawn sleigh offered us a unique proposition. Instead of the usual daytime sleigh tour, he suggested we rent the sleigh for an enchanting nighttime ride through the picturesque countryside. Excitement filled the air as we eagerly accepted the offer, relishing the chance to experience the wintry beauty of Aspen in a way few others had. As darkness descended upon the land, we embarked on our ghostly sleigh ride. The moonlit night provided an ethereal glow, casting an otherworldly sheen over the snow-covered landscape. The crisp air filled our lungs as we settled into the plush seats of the sleigh, wrapped in warm blankets to shield us from the chill. The journey began, and we glided through the tranquil countryside. The only sound was the soft crunch of snow beneath the sleigh's runners. The horses pulled us effortlessly, their breath forming misty clouds in the cold night air. Our laughter filled the air, a symphony of joy and anticipation as we reveled in the enchantment of the moment. But as we ventured farther into the outskirts of town, the surroundings took on a different aura. Tall, thick trees loomed on either side, casting long, eerie shadows that danced in the moonlight. A sense of unease crept over me, a feeling that we had entered a realm where the line between the living and the supernatural began to blur. As I looked out over the trees, my eyes caught something peculiar. In the distance, amidst the snow-covered landscape, I saw the figure of a child. They stood alone, their presence haunting and ethereal. I blinked, thinking it was a trick of the imagination, or perhaps a play of the moonlight on the snowy terrain. I dismissed it, believing it to be a mere hallucination brought on by the wintry night. The sleigh ride continued, and my family remained oblivious to what I had seen. The magical scenery unfolded before us, the beauty of the winter night captivating our senses. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that something otherworldly was at play, that the figure I had glimpsed held a deeper significance. As the sleigh ride came to a close, our family got ready to step off. I turned back for one last glance, and my heart skipped a beat. There, in the middle of the snow-covered land, stood the spectral figure of the child. Their eyes locked with mine, a gaze that pierced through the wintry darkness. Fear coursed through my veins as I realized I was not hallucinating. This was real. I quickly averted my gaze, afraid to acknowledge the presence of the child any further. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I had witnessed. Who was this spectral figure? What did they want from me? Questions swirled in my head, but there were no answers. I was relieved to bid farewell to the sleigh and our family's friends as we made our way back to our accommodations for the night. It had been a truly enchanting experience for everyone except for me. As I lay in bed, attempting to find sleep, the encounter with the spectral child continued to haunt my thoughts. It served as a constant reminder of the delicate boundary that separates our world from the realm of the supernatural. To this day, I wonder about that child. Was it a lost soul seeking solace in the wintry landscape? Or perhaps a guardian spirit watching over the snow-covered fields? The answers elude me, forever concealed within the mysteries of Aspen's winter nights. The Ghostly Sleigh Ride remains a testament to the unseen forces that dwell just beyond our perception, reminding us that even in the beauty of a winter wonderland, the unknown and the inexplicable can lurk, waiting to reveal themselves to those who dare to look closer. It was a freezing winter late afternoon when my buddies, Chris, Jack, and I decided to explore this old, creepy orphanage. We heard rumors about it being on the outskirts of town, and we couldn't resist the urge to uncover its secrets. So, we bundled up in our warm clothes, ready to brave the snowy blizzard and see what awaited us. As we approached the orphanage, we couldn't help but notice its run-down and spooky appearance. But that didn't stop us. We bravely entered, equipped with our flashlights and phones, ready to explore. Every step we took echoed through the empty halls, creating an eerie atmosphere. It felt as if unseen eyes were upon us, observing our every move. We used our flashlights to navigate the crumbling corridors. Broken toys were scattered on the floor, leftovers from the past. Faded pictures of kids decorated the walls, their faces worn out. The whole place gave us the creeps. As we went further into the orphanage, things got even scarier. We started hearing faint voices in the air, like the spirits of the children who used to live there were trying to talk to us. Or maybe it was just our imagination playing tricks on us because of the howling winds outside. Even though we had warm clothes on, we couldn't shake off the chilling feeling that crawled under our skin. It was like something unseen was reaching out to touch us, and it sent shivers down our spines. Deep inside the orphanage, we stumbled upon a secret room. It was dimly lit and filled with forgotten stuff. On an old, worn-out table, we found a dusty diary. Chris, being the joker in our group, couldn't resist picking it up and putting on a dramatic show. With a mischievous grin, he started reading out loud, and his voice echoed through the eerie silence. The diary revealed a haunting story about an orphan child who suffered terribly. Even though the tale was sad, Chris couldn't resist adding his own funny comments, trying to lighten the mood in his own weird way. As Chris finished reading, the room felt strange. Shadows danced around, responding to his words. But we could see that Chris's funny face turned serious, and we could tell he was spooked by the story. So, he closed the diary and put it back on the table gently. But our scary adventure wasn't over yet. As we kept exploring, I caught something out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a shadowy figure of a child running past the dark hall. I couldn't believe what I saw, and when I looked again, it was gone. It gave me the creeps, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Feeling scared and on edge, I shared my concerns with my buddies. But they just laughed it off, making fun of me for being scared. We kept going, taking pictures on our phones to capture the creepy atmosphere. Suddenly, our flashlights started flickering, leaving us in complete darkness. We panicked and quickly switched on the flashlights on our phones. The weak light barely showed us anything, casting weird shadows on the old walls. We cautiously moved through the dark corridors, and the tension kept building up. Every creak of the floor and whisper of the wind sent shivers down our spines. And then, out of nowhere, a music box started playing by itself. The creepy melody filled the air, echoing through the halls. It chilled us to the bone. We froze in terror, our hearts pounding in our chests. It felt like something was gripping us, and we couldn't handle the fear anymore. With a loud scream, we ran as fast as we could. Fear fueled our every step as we raced through the labyrinthine corridors, our screams bouncing off the empty rooms. It felt like the orphanage itself was alive, playing wicked games with our minds. Finally, we burst out of the doors, gasping for breath in the freezing night air. Tears streamed down our faces as we realized how close we had come to something truly terrifying. The orphanage had held us captive, toying with our sanity and feeding off our deepest fears. That bone-chilling experience will stay with us forever. The abandoned orphanage gave us a glimpse into a world of ghosts and mysteries, where vengeful spirits and strange happenings ruled. We learned the hard way that some places should be left alone, their secrets buried in time. As we parted ways, forever changed by the memories of our terrifying adventure etched in our minds, we moved forward, forever changed by what we had witnessed. We couldn't help but share our story with others, hoping they would listen and be cautious in places where the boundaries of the living and the dead blur. The spirits of the forgotten will always yearn for justice and peace, and it is our duty to remember them and keep their stories alive.